It was a summer Sunday. I was alone in my room in my parents' house.
A Danish musician known from bands such as Alter Ego, Green and Labrador. Welcome, Flemming Borby.
Thank you.
So let's start from the very beginning at the island of Fyn, if I say it correctly, in Denmark, where you are from. What kind of childhood was it?
Yeah, well, my childhood was very safe. It was a small village, 200 inhabitants on Fyn, like you said, the island. So it was, a lot of nature, and the kids, we could just run around like we wanted to in the forest or playing football, whatever. So it was very safe childhood. And musical wise, maybe that's what you're going to ask for now.
Yeah.
Because I read the questions at home. Maybe you have you read the book called Popular Music of Vittula? It's a Finnish book.
Yeah, populaari musiikkia Vittula jänkä.
Yeah. And also it was made into a movie, right?
Yeah.
So actually when I read this book, I was thinking very much of my childhood. So there's very similar how the reaction of the music coming to the city through my older brothers in general. I have an older brother. He's 7 years older than me. So when I was 7 years old, he was a teenager already. So he would go to a bigger city, I guess, on the island, and buy records and play them in the house for me and my other brother. So we would it was just like, wow, this music. It was just very magic, it was magical. What's going on with this music? And he was playing, maybe, I don't know, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, and all these things. It was very powerful. So it was spreading out in the whole village, this music thing. And I remember there was one guy, also an older brother to one of my friends. He got an electric guitar, a red electric guitar, and it was spreading like a rumor in the village. Oh, this red electric guitar. So kids were standing outside of his house to try to get a glimpse of this red electric guitar. Yeah. I don't know if you read this book, but it was a kind of similar situation, I guess.
Yeah, you have the one song also, The Insane Lad, about listening to Bowie.
Yes, exactly. That was later when I was in my teens. I got my own big, hi-fi equipment, and I was listening to a lot of records, different styles, but of course David Bowie. And the song or the little spoken word is about how I test how far away I could hear this record in the city with all the windows open and just walking away from the house, right?
Okay, and what were then your favorite bands or artists in the childhood? The first bands?
I think in the very beginning when I was a kid, it was very much like this kind of pop music coming out of the radios. So I don't remember any particular bands actually, but it was, in 1970, for example, the most played record, the number one single of that year was Carpenters, Close to You. And if you listen to that record, it's very soft. It's actually Burt Bacharach who wrote that song. And it's very soft, so the music at that time, the pop music coming out was very soft and very melodic. I also remember one song, it was the Mungo Jerry. I remember that one also very clearly from my childhood. So I think I was kind of, injected with this pop music, this very light, bright pop music. So that was my childhood, music.
Okay, there was the legendary electric guitar in the village. So when did you pick up an instrument?
Yeah, so luckily there were two school teachers, two women, in this very small school, with just like 7 grades, one class of every grade. But they were very into music too, and they were teaching us guitar, xylophone, flute, and notes and everything. So I think at 10, I was starting to play guitar for real, acoustic guitar. And at that time, I started also a band, I remember, in this village with the grocery store's kid, Jens. We had a band. And I was playing guitar, and he was playing on, those empty boxes, I don't know, with some sticks and stuff like this, like a drum kit. And I remember we made 2 songs, one about his dog, and one about the school bus driver, who was always very grumpy. So, and 2 songs. That was the first band and things like this. But I think my brother's all his record. He was going to America for 1 year when I was 12 or 13, and he had like hundreds and hundreds of records. And he said to me, "Put all these records in your room and listen to them." And so I got all these records in my room, just like So and he said, "There's one band you should listen carefully to." And it was Bob Marley. And I mean, at that time, nobody in Denmark really had heard of Bob Marley. But my brother, he had 2 or 3 records with him. So I listened to them. And of course, I'm a Bob Marley fan. Who is not a Bob Marley fan, But yeah, it was very interesting. He also had a lot of the fusion, jazz, Weather Report, Frank Zappa. It was a mix of everything I listened to.
Okay, was music big in your village, or was it more like sports? Did music make you like the weird kid?
Yes, I think so. When I went into my teens, I felt isolated. I had some few friends in the village, and we went to my room and smoking pipes. I remember, not pot or anything, just pipes, and listening to records. But there was just like 2 or 3 guys. Yes, I played also football, but when I was 15 or 16, I stopped because I thought I was also moving into another direction. They were just like talking about drinking beers and girls, and I was like, and I also started to smoke pot, with some guys. So kind of, went down this, and I was started to playing bass in some bands in another city on this island. So I kind of drifted away from all these things. So yeah, I think you're right. I was for sure one of the weird kids in the city, in a small village.
Okay, and how did your taste of music change when you went into your teens?
Yes, so like I said, I was listening to a lot of different styles, and then with 18 or 19, I came across this movement of punk and new wave. It also came to Denmark. So I got very much interested in this, and it talked a lot to me. Because this fusion music, it was very we had to be very good, and the punk and new wave was just like, who cares about being good? We just want to express ourselves, and I really liked this movement. But it was also difficult because my older brother, he was a hippie, more like a hippie type, so you had to make this kind of like little battle against the hippies. So the punks, they were also against the hippies because you're just like sleeping and you're just smoking pot and listen to this difficult music. Now we want to do something else, right? So it was also kind of challenging in a way because there was not so many people in Denmark at all who were listening to this, and on this island, very, very few. So I felt, of course, kind of alone and isolated. That's also why I moved to Copenhagen when I was 20. Yeah.
Okay, how do you see the punk movement landing in Denmark when it started in 76 from like young people's frustration?
Yeah. I think it didn't come to Denmark before end of the 70s, beginning of the 80s, for real. And when I moved to Copenhagen that was 1984, Um, it was the punk movement was of course still there, but it was more like the new wave movement, like Joy Division turned into New Order, and bands like this, The Cure, and so there was a new movement, and it was we were called the No Future generation. So it was, the atomic war was very threatening. It was really, really threatening. It was like everybody was thinking in 1 year the whole planet will be gone because there will be an atomic war. So for us it was like we have no future. And in Copenhagen there was people, they were dressed in black, and with black eyeliners, and walking with crutches. Even they were not sick. So just like to show that. It's really bad. So it was also a shock for me to come to Copenhagen. It was a shock, a really, really big shock, actually.
Okay, and what kind of bands did you play at those times?
Yes, so I started in a band on Fyn called The Poets, but the guys, the two leaders of the band, they were already moving to Copenhagen, so also I moved into a house where the singer were living from The Poets. So I was playing with them, and then I was starting out 3 other bands in those years. One was called Living Sign, and we made a single called As Time Goes By. On my label, I started a label, and it was the only record release we did. But it was again this punk thing that let's do a record, we don't want to think about record labels. So we made one single, also a music video. And then I started a band called The Fence. We did one single on Polydor, and then Alter Ego, but it was 2 years later or something like this. And The Poets, I continued playing with them, but then many weird things happening. They had a producer coming over. They were kind of like going to the sky with their dreams, and just like walking. They thought they were walking on some clouds, and then they forgot about the band members, and they didn't care about them. And then there was this famous producer, Adam Peters, coming over from England. He was producing the very famous Echo the Bunnyman record at that time. That became record of the year in UK, Ocean Rain. And he came over, Adam Peters, and was just like, yeah, this guy doesn't work, this guy doesn't work. And they were just listening to him, so okay, goodbye, Flemming. And I was actually investing my own money in this project and everything, so I had to go to law, make a lawsuit against them to get my money back. It was a crazy time. But I continued with The Fence and Living Sign and Alter Ego.
Okay.
As a drummer. At that time I was a drummer.
Okay, at which point, probably before these bands, but in which point did you know that music was gonna be your thing?
I think I knew it already when I was 10 years old and I grabbed this guitar. In a way, I don't know why. It was lying in me all the time through. It was difficult years. It was not easy. My parents, they had no idea what it would be to be a musician or anything. But I just knew it somehow. I knew it. I cannot tell how. It was just like, it just hit me.
Okay, there was no plan B.
Not really. I mean, I have been doing a lot of things beside also to earn some money on the way, but it was always with this focus on music. Always.
Okay, you already mentioned that it was a bit of a shock arriving to Copenhagen, but how was it actually to getting used to living in a bigger city, and how was Copenhagen at the time?
Yeah, it was difficult because, as I said, I came from this small village and then to this million city, and the music I was interested in and the scene and the people, it was very dark and it was very negative. So like I said, the atmosphere was very very depressing, and there was no happy feeling everywhere. Also, the yuppies, they were like contrast to the punk. So they were just sitting there, turning on the cigarettes and cigars with 1,000 kroner bills, and it was a crazy time, but not happy, no happy feeling at all.
Okay, and could you tell me a bit more about the band Alter Ego?
Yes, but actually first I want just to say a little thing about this depressing thing, because I think it was not only in Copenhagen. I think it was everywhere. This depressive feeling, also in London, where this kind of movement of punk and new wave grew. And for me, a relief at that time was when the Smiths, they came on the scene. So when they released their first record, this Charming Man, the single in 1984, it was with this kind of depressive lyrics, but with happy music, the 60s music. And for me, it was like, wow, that's fantastic. And when they made their first album, also like songs like Heaven Knows I'm Miserable Now, and it was like talking to me how I felt lyrical wise, but the music was much more uplifting than The Cure or something like this, you know. So I was really happy when the Smiths came, and I remember they were announced to play in Roskilde Festival in 1984. And I went there with some friends, and I only wanted to see the Smiths actually. And we were camping and we were waiting, and then the Saturday afternoon came where they should play in this big tent. And my friend, he had some speed with him, and he said, "Should we take some speed?" I said, "Speed? Oh, I don't know. Okay, yeah, why not? It's the Smiths." So we were sniffing speed, and we were just like, the adrenaline was going very high. We went down to the tent, standing there with 1,000 people, the Smith. And then the guy came on stage and said, "I'm sorry, but it's cancelled. They couldn't make it." So we were standing there, you know, on speed and so it was really, that was sad. And I never managed to see the Smith or Morrissey ever since.
Never?
No.
Okay. But
they got their chance.
So, but Morrissey has been important to you, right? You have this one song about listening to Morrissey too.
Sang along with Morrissey, yes,
Yeah.
yes, because I had a feeling that he was just talking so much to me and my kind of life and the way I felt. But what I really liked was that the music is much more poppy, and it talked to me a lot.
Okay, and you mentioned Roskilde Festival. You have played there yourself, then.
Yes, that was later with Green.
Yeah, let's talk about that a bit later. But maybe now about Alter
Ego. Yes. So I got to know those three guys in Copenhagen, and they were very ongoing. And what they were inspired of was this kind of new movement also in the music scene called New Romantics. So it was, for example, Simple Minds or Human League and these bands. They were introducing a new kind of romantic, new wave movement. And I also really like that. We were very inspired of Simple Minds, and they wanted to do something. So we made 3 music videos at that time, and the first one, not the first one, but one of them called She Dreams Like on a Sunday. It was actually played on MTV in, I think it's 1986. And we were going for this record deal. At that time, many bands were going for a record deal. That was like, you know, the holy thing. So we were trying, and we were so close so many times, but we never succeeded to have any record deal. So, and then at the end, the singer, he chose to drop out of the band to pursue an opera singing career, and then the band stopped in the beginning of the 90s. And then I came along with the Green Band after that.
Yeah, also coming to 90s, you started to study in a Royal Danish Music Academy.
Yeah.
So how was that time, and how did it change you as a musician?
Yeah, I thought maybe it's good to have an education at a certain point, and also I wanted to. So many people have helped me along the way, so I thought I wanted to pay something back. So I thought I wanted to teach younger people music. So Yes, I was preparing this education at the Royal Academy of Music for 2 years before I got in. And then I got in and I was there 5 years, and it was a musical, it was a half classical, half rhythmic. And it was, the basic things was like choir conduction and so things like this. But also I was playing drums and piano and but actually the main reason I wanted to have this education was I wanted to know about classical music. I wanted to know what is it to be a conductor, what is it to be a composer, what is it all about, how can they make this music, and what is the rules. Or so it was very very interesting for me, very much actually. I had really good teachers, and I think after I also got more confidence, self-confidence. I wanted to do my own music, my own songs, but I never had the confidence in the band to say, why don't we play one of my songs? We did a little in alter ego, but I never had the confidence. And after I got out of the academy, I had self-confidence. I could play piano, I could sing, I could, I had an idea about how to compose and stuff like this. It changed me in a good way, I guess.
Yeah, and also at this time you joined or you formed the band Green, right?
No, the band Green was actually two brothers' band.
Okay.
And I joined them in the very beginning of the 90s, I think 1990 exactly. And they were already also ongoing, but they had not released any records, so we got together and we got a really good band going, and we released 3 records and also played Roskilde Festival more times, and we were kind of like indie darlings in Denmark at that time, in the 90s. But it was not my music, it was the two brothers' music. And then at the end, in 1998, we stopped the band because the two brothers, they wanted to do their own project, like a solo brother project. And at that time, it was because back alter ego, the singer left for an opera singer career. The Fence, the band in the 80s, he left because the record label said, "We want you, not the band." And then again, now the brothers left, the singers, and the band was standing there, "Hey, we have a great band, we have released 3 records, we are going somewhere." So at that time I decided, this is not going to happen anymore. Now I'm the singer, I'm the songwriter, and when it stops, I decide when it should stop, So that's why I started the band Labrador in the end of the 90s. I had never been singing on a stage before in front of any audience. I had never been writing songs in public before. So it was also a very challenging time. So I started the band on the rest of Green. The two brothers, they left, and the rest of the band, we formed Labrador, actually.
Okay, and how was your time with Green then? You've been in the 90s, like studying at the same time,
Yes.
but at the same time being in a successful band and putting out records.
Yes, that was really wonderful. It was really great years, and so much things going on. But Denmark is a very small country, so even bringing out records and going on tour, it would mean you can play maybe 6 or 7 cities. That's it. So we didn't play so much live. So there was a lot of time also to study and to do other projects also, actually.
Okay, any special memories about playing in Roskilde?
Yeah, I remember the second time we played there. We had to play on a Sunday afternoon, but I came there already on Thursday. And I put up my tent. There were some camps for bands and stuff like this. And I was partying every night. Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. And the other band members, they were not on Roskilde before. They came with the bus from Copenhagen on this particular day where we had to play. And I remember I was walking through with some of my drums. I thought, I cannot do it. I'm too bummed, you know. And you know, as a drummer, it's a kind of physical thing. And they came all there, and they were very fresh, and looked at me. Hey, are you okay? Yeah, I think so. I think so. And then it was so loud. The sound engineer, he played so incredible loud on the stage also. So I don't know how I got through it, but I did.
Okay, so let's go back to Labrador.
Mhm.
So you were studying and then you were kind of heading the band. So for the first time, so how was the process for you?
Yeah, so I came out of the academy, and then I had a friend in Copenhagen. He had a small studio in a basement, and I asked him, could you make some demos for me? So I went there alone, and we made the demos. And then the other band members from Green, they came and made some bass and guitar, some overdubs. And then I think we made 4 songs, mixed them, and then we sent them to the one and only music magazine in Denmark, Gaffa. It's still the only one and only music magazine in Denmark. And I sent it to the demo department, and they listened to it, and they made it demo of the month. The small CD we made. So that was actually very, thrilling and motivating. So I thought, yes, I want to make a record. So I bought a mixing console. I bought a computer and Pro Tools, and with the bass player of the band, John, who's actually was my schoolmate back in the day in the village. He was really good at engineering and stuff, and so we put up the studio and started to record. I think over a year we made the record. And then when the first single was ready in 2001, we decided to make a mix and send it to the radio, to the Danish National Radio. With Green, we had a lot of success on the Danish National Radio, a lot of rotation, and also 2 Song of the Week moments with Green. So I thought, okay, maybe some in the radio would remember us. We are the rest of the Green or whatever. So we sent the song to the radio, and it came on rotation on the national radio. And it was like, wow, it's amazing. We just make this record at home, and the first single is on rotation. And then I remember we had a band meeting on a Sunday, 3:00. And at that time, the Danish National Radio, they had a program from 2 to 3 on Sunday afternoon. And in this program, they would play songs that were played on rotation in the week before, and also new songs coming in a new week. And at the very end of the program, they would announce the song of the week, of the next week. And I was listening to the program. Meanwhile, I was waiting for my band members to come. And they didn't play our song throughout the program. But then at the very end, they said, yeah, now we're going to announce the new song of the week, Labrador in the Blue Balloon. And it was just like, I couldn't believe it. And at the same time, the singer, one of the singers of the band, a woman, she came in the street on a bicycle. And I remember I just opened the window and was screaming like, "We are Song of the Week!" And it was just like, and this was really like, that was at that time it was a really, really big thing on the Danish National Radio to be Song of the Week. It was, I don't know if they played the song every hour, but it was at least 10 times a day. They would play the song, and it would be the most played songs in the week on the national radio. So we were invited to TV shows and many things, live radio shows. It was really, and we didn't have the record ready, so we was like running. And I had never been standing and performing in front of anybody before. So it was a wild time also, I must say. But nice, of course.
Okay, and how did it go along with Labrador then?
How did it go along?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happened was that we were there was a booking agency involved, interested, but also with the first record, also the second record, it was not really easy to. So the radio supported us a lot, the national radio, but there was no. We couldn't get any gigs really. So I was a little frustrated, and I thought there must be somebody in this world who is interested in this music. So internet was new at that time, so but coming up. So I was googling around, and I found a radio station in Kassel in Germany. I could see they were playing the same music that I liked, and I sent it to them, the Labrador CD, and he started to play it. And then I wrote to him and said, "Thank you for playing. Do you think it's playing our CD? Do you think there's a chance that we could come to play live in Germany?" I said, "Yeah, there's a friend of mine, Norbert. He just started a booking agency. I think he would like your music." So I talked to him, and he put up a tour for us, and we went to Germany and played a tour, and there was a completely different situation. People were coming to the concerts. There were even people driving hundreds of kilometers to see us, and it was really like a very uplifting. And then in Berlin, I was interviewed by a young guy called Matthias. It was a music magazine called Sound Mag, and he said to me, "Yeah, if you want to hang out in Berlin, you can come to my place, always." So I started to come to Berlin, and I found a new musical family. I suddenly realized, okay, what I was doing was called indie pop. I didn't know that, and it was a kind of international movement. And those people, it was DJs and musicians. We were like 10 or 12 people, and it was exactly the music that I liked, that they were also listening to. So it was kind of coming home. So I decided to, okay, maybe Denmark is not the right place for me and my music. So I decided to move to Berlin.
Okay, what about Copenhagen at that time? You had then lived there for a long
20
time.
years.
Yeah, how did the city change over that time?
The city was very, and still is, very commercial, and the music taste was at that time very much house music, electronic music, this kind of dance house music everywhere, and very commercial. It was always like in Denmark, if you want to put up a cafe and make a cafe, you know it has to be new. Everything new, and you have to 2 or 3 people employed, and that's the reason why a cappuccino always will cost like 6 or 7 euros. But in Berlin, it's different. People are pursuing their dream of doing something, and it's a completely. At that time in Denmark, when I left, I couldn't really use the city. I didn't have money to go out on cafes or restaurants. Like maybe 2 or 3 I could go to. So I also felt a little like, what am I doing here? So to come to Berlin was really like a relief for me.
Okay, and how was Berlin then at the time? How did you see it as a press?
Yeah, it was, of course, this movement of young people wanting to do something, and also, like I said, like the indie pop scene was very big. There was this Carrera Club DJ team. They were filling out big clubs with indie pop, Britpop, and stuff like this. And but to the city, I moved to Friedrichshain, the eastern part of the city, and it was very very eastern, like being Poland and Russia or something. It was also very poor, very very poor, compared to Copenhagen, I would say.
Okay, and at which point did you start music with your own name?
Yeah, so I moved on with Labrador, but when I was in Germany, so I couldn't bring the band here, so I was moving along alone mostly. Maybe had 1 or 2 musicians with me hired. So at a certain point, I thought maybe it's stupid to call it Labrador. Why not just call it my own name? Because I'm doing it all myself in my own name. So maybe people are confused about this Labrador and Flemming. So I thought maybe I should just take the consequence and start to tour and make records in my own name. And this I did. I started in 2015 with the first album that I actually recorded in Austin, Texas. And then I started to focus much more on touring in Germany and be in Berlin, play in Berlin. So this is what I did for the last 4 years mostly.
Okay, and how was the recording of Somebody Wrong, and why was it in Austin?
Yeah, I'm a member of some Danish singer-songwriter composer unions, and they have sometimes retreats somewhere in the world. Also in Cuba, I was in Cuba. I recorded one Labrador album in Cuba actually, in 2007. And then they started to have a program in Austin, Texas. Austin is a very musical city. It's called Lime Music Capital of the World. So it's the city in this world with the most live music venues. And they started to have a program there. So it's like a co-writing project. So I was flying there more times to write together with local artists. And I also started a project with a songwriter called Nicholas Jinby. We made a project called the Ghost Brother Project, and we recorded an EP first. And then I thought, well, that was in 2012 or 13. So I thought, why not make my own first album here with my own name, with fantastic musicians, fantastic studios, and the studio I recorded the album in is actually run by a Swedish guy, Lars Göransson, who used to be in Tambourine Studios in Malmö. And he has the studio now for 10 years or more. And I visited his studio, and it looks good and everything, nice equipment. And then he had a big Neumann microphone in his singing booth. And I said, wow, what is that microphone? Yeah, he said, it's a Neumann U48. It's made in 1948. I said, wow, where do you have that from? He said, yeah, I bought it from Rolling Stones mobile studio. So this microphone was in Rolling Stones mobile studio. I said, wow, so that means so Robert Plant, he was singing in this one? Yes. And Bob Marley, he sang No Woman, No Cry in this one. And I said, in this kind of microphone? No, in this one. I was like, okay, I want to record my album here just because of this. But actually this this microphone didn't really suit my voice very well, but that's another story.
Live like you like it.
Like you want it.
Like you want it. Sorry. Okay. Like you want it. It's coming out next week.
Yes.
So tell me about this EP.
Yes. So it's an EP that I recorded and is produced in Berlin, and it's produced by a Berlin producer woman called Maxi Menot. So this is actually the first time that I just gave her the songs, very minimal, and then she built the whole environment around the songs. But she did everything in the computer. She's a very talented producer woman, and yes, I'm very happy about it. And the topics are this time is going more into kind of a spiritual direction maybe. So also the song called "Get Into the Positivity." It's also into this kind of what can you say? Kind of spiritual, uplifting direction that my life turned into the last years. So I try to give that on in this record.
Okay, and how do you see the evolution of your music since Green?
Yeah, so With Labrador, I was always pursuing this kind of 70s, 60s sound with trumpets and this kind of Burt Bacharach sound, and maybe it has been following me all the time. This kind of idea of music and sound in my head, but that's also why I gave it to songs to this producer woman to try something else with the sound, because I also want to sound a little updated, not always sound like something retro. So sometimes the sound you have is also, it's like people are reflecting on the sound, and then maybe they start to dig into it. If they don't like the sound, maybe it can be more difficult to dig into what it actually is about. So I don't know. Maybe it's also a time where I want to maybe communicate with more people. Try to communicate with more people. Not before I was actually producing and writing the song for myself, but now I think I came to a point where I want to communicate with more people. So it's of course it's important to be more sound up to date, kind of, I guess.
Okay, and has the state of the world today, has it had an effect on your music, and that maybe your music has now a deeper level? And
I think we are living in a time now where we have really, really good, especially in the Western world. I don't know about, but I know about the Western world, and we have really, really good possibilities to pursue a life that we can actually celebrate more life and celebrate ourselves, and also celebrate good things. When I compare it to my time in the 80s, where the New Future generation, we now live in a time where technically we have so much, everything is so easy. Everything is so easy. So maybe it's also time now to go a little back and and enjoy this, and stop producing so much, stop just to enjoy and to pursue dreams, live like you want it. So really do it. There's no need to work 40 hours in an office anymore. You can, and Berlin is also a good place, but you can, with very small money, you can actually have a really nice life, and you can maybe try to do what you want to do, what comes from inside. And I think this is a good time now for young people to do this. Very good time. And they should really try to live like they want it. I think this will make the world a much better place, with more understanding between people, and more tolerance and more acceptance of each other. If people are happy themselves, they also can see other people being happy. But if they're not happy with themselves and they always live like, I should do something else, they also try maybe to say it's all the people's fault that they don't have the possibility and stuff like this. So that's my philosophy about this.
Okay, do you see yourself at someday going back to the island of Finn?
Of course, yes. Now I start to come back and connect again. But the problem with Denmark is that the weather is just too bad. I cannot live with this weather. I've been living there 40 years, and it's enough. It's too windy for my head.
Okay.
I cannot wear a hat.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you also.
My parents' house was in a small village, on a small island, in a small kingdom called Denmark.